I'll be there, so might be an opportunity for me to get my my exclusive conversation with Mr. Aaron Glenn. That's for sure. But Robbie, let me start with this, since they are speaking tomorrow, as of this recording. What would you ask Glenn and Muji for the first time as they're available this offseason?
It's it's tough to there are so many specific questions, but I think the more in general one I would ask him if I had one and one question only would be, listen, you tell us there's a plan, you tell us to believe in you, yet it's tough to outline or even identify those tangible steps in this plan. Can you elaborate a little more on what you mean by plan? Because when I hear interviews at other places, Kubiak, almost called him his dad, Clint Kubiak in Vegas, he didn't say it just once. He said it 5 or 6 times. Listen, we have to earn the players and the fans' trust. And it's just a 180 in terms of what I hear from Glenn and the Jets. So I think that would be the starting point. Poke and prod to try to get specifics and details in terms of this trust and this plan. And anyone could say they have a plan. That doesn't mean squat. I mean, they were hard on their plan last year. And to me, if you ask me, I think it's the exact opposite thing to do in the NFL.
I think that's well said. Look, a year ago, Aaron Glenn touted his coaching staff at that podium. Well, here that we are a year later, and they had a historic amount of turnover after just a season for Glenn. 2 new
Yeah.
coordinators. I want to ask him about him calling the defense. I'm going to try and ask him about Frank Reich specifically, how involved will he be in their quarterback decision, because Glenn was involved in the Justin Fields decision, and that was an
Oh,
abject
yeah.
disaster. So hopefully Reich has a much better feel as a former QB for the position. A lot to talk about with you, Robbie. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. We're going to start off this week with a monster giveaway on our shows today. I'm likely going to do a second show, but if not, this will be on the first show tomorrow. You'll have this show and a second show later to enter. It is a Curtis Martin signed jersey. That's right. We're starting off with a bang. A couple of you requested more Curtis Martin raffle items, so here we go. It includes the Hall of Fame inscription, gift memberships to the community to kick off Combine Week here, and you'll be entered in for the Martin jersey, plus 2 weekly raffle prizes so far. Top prize, you know we're doing it big if we're in Indy. Signed Joe Namath helmet. Remember when Joe Namath was the Super Bowl MVP against the then Baltimore Colts, who are now the Indianapolis Colts? Also, a signed helmet by Darrelle Revis. So those are the top 2 prizes in the weekly, and a Curtis Martin signed jersey in our daily raffle. Now, Breece Hall. Let's talk about him, and let's actually hear from the still technically Jet running back. Breece was at a card event in Queens over the weekend with Fanatics, and he was interviewed by the New York Post. Here is Breece Hall being asked about his future.
Everybody's asking you, what are you doing this off season? What's been going on? I mean, what are you thinking right now?
I'm just where my feet are and letting, God and my agent handle everything else.
Yeah.
I feel like my play speaks for itself, considering, the situations I've been in the last few years. I'm going to get everything that's coming to me, so I'm not too worried about it.
When you look at your card, back at your rookie, or back at your card in 20 years, right? Everybody looks at the back of their card, and what do you want it to say at the on the back? When you look at the stats, look at the accolades, look at the teams you played for, what do you want it to say on the back of your sports card?
I really wanted it to say, a piece to a championship team. That's my biggest thing. I want to be, one of those guys that could come in and be the piece that a team needs, and whether it's here or someplace else, I just want to be able to, be myself in the right situation.
Your thoughts on those comments from Breece after he spoke with, again, the New York Post over the weekend?
I mean, much of the same. I mean, what can these guys say, honestly, at this stage? It's, unless you're Jamal Adams, who was the extreme the other way, forcing his way out. And, now he has regrets in terms of how he handled it. Or Garrett Wilson, where you're hardened and you're getting into spats with Stephen A. and you're a Jet. And that's why the fan base loves him so much. The vicious cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. Jets restart this thing. They draft young talent, which undoubtedly fans get excited over, and they should get excited over. First year shows some signs, something happens. Second year, you're still holding on to that rope, I guess we'll say. And then again, eventually, crap hits the fan, and all that crap splatters on the wall. And then we get to the point where the players are drained, the fans are drained. They know they like Breece. Breece knows that he likes the fans and he would love to be a Jet when they're winning and they're being productive and they're on the right track, but he's too smart to see they're not doing the right things that it takes to win, that it takes to turn it around. So you get into this mode. What else is he supposed to say except be general? He's put out stuff on Twitter in social media in terms of being cryptic, not too crazy. Breece never crosses that line or rarely crosses that line. I think he just wants to be within a winning, happy situation. It doesn't have to be guaranteed. It just can't be dark cloud, as we mentioned prior. And if you're Glenn and the Jets, that's one serious decision you have on your hands.
I think that's well said. I think a big thing for Breece is I think he'd love, to your point, to be a Jet, but I think he wants to be compensated because he's gone through all the losing. He saw Garrett Wilson get an extension. He saw Sauce Gardner before he was eventually traded get an extension. I don't think Breece would be thrilled with the franchise tag. But that said, Robbie, it's a business, and I still think the best business move for the Jets is to tag Breece Hall so you don't lose him for nothing. Once they determined they were not going to trade him at the deadline, I think if you just use logic, it's fair to say that means they wanted to keep him then, and I can't imagine anything has changed to this point. Then I saw this report from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN over the weekend, and he said, quote, the Jets are weighing all options with Breece's future, including a tag and an effort towards a long-term deal. Some inside the league expect the transition tag for Hall around $11.7 million, but that's yet to be determined. I mean, again, if they're considering a long-term deal and you just watched Javonte Williams get a deal over the weekend, I'm okay with giving Breece a 2 or 3 year deal. I think the concern with the transition tag is if they do that, there could be another team that wants to just offer Breece a contract. I'm not convinced the Jets would match it. So that's why I think if you're going to tag them, it's either the franchise tag so you know you have them, and you could say, hey, Breece, we were going to use the transition tag, but here's a good faith measure to give you an extra $3 million. Or you sign him to some sort of extension. I don't like the idea of the transition tag unless Muji just knows for sure no one is going to offer Breece a contract that will pay him more than $11-something million a year. But again, like that's Muji's job to know that if they use the transition tag.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think in a normal market circumstance, you might be able to get away with the transition tag, but this is not a normal market circumstance because he's looking for mental health. He's looking for, not happiness per se, but just a rosier glow of a situation. And to your point, I think he wants to get paid for sure, but I don't think that's the only. It's not really weighted in that direction. I think situation is really big for him. So yeah, franchise tag is the deal. Nice comment by Oka Jets fan. Robbie always looks lost and confused. Kudos, hat tip. I do.
Well, you cover the Jets, so it comes with the territory.
Yeah, it's a battle.
Let me tell you, I want to give the Jets some credit for something. So the only reason why I made it to Indy and I was able to get a flight because the Delta app crashed with everyone trying to do what I was trying to do, move up flights, right? So I sat on hold with Delta customer service. When I called in, they said, you'll be on hold. The estimated wait time is 4 hours. And I go, there's no way it's 4 hours, right? Like I'm watching the Knick game. I have the Knick game on. I have the phone on the side. I have now ingrained in my brain forever just the Delta like music they play when you're on hold. Because God forbid someone could call you rather than have to just sit there on hold. It ended up being 4 hours and 47 minutes before I finally spoke to someone that night. It was almost 2 a.m. This was on Saturday night, trying to move up my flight, which I successfully was able to do. And someone told me, I don't know how you had the patience to do all that. And I'm thinking, well, I'm a Jet fan. That's how to do it. So the patience to be on hold for nearly 5 hours to get my flight eventually moved up so I could be here today and not have to worry about all the issues with everyone's flight being canceled.
What was your strategy? Speakerphone and go about your business? What'd you do?
I packed speakerphone, had the Knick game on till that ended, started to work on some stuff for Asmaniac Madness. Hey, everyone, 1 week from yesterday, Election Sunday, this Sunday, the bracket will be revealed. So we got that coming, Robbie. But yeah, I mean, the patience of being a Jet fan for once actually paid off as I was on hold for 5 hours with Delta.
Almost like you deserve a medal, like a gold medal. That's what you
get used to the NFL draft and the combine and the Senior Bowl and all that kind of stuff, because it's super important for the next 2 years.
I was telling you before we started, Jets not only have the 3 ones next year, they have 2 this year, and then they have pick 33, which is like an extension of the first round. Yep. Could easily be traded, who knows? And then they have pick 44, so you're talking about 4 picks this year alone in the top 44, plus they're going to have around $90-something million in cap space. They are going to be very busy this offseason.
And for a draft that doesn't feel like it's super deep, it does matter having all those picks near the top. And, Daniel Jeremiah's got the new updated top 50. If you leave this with, say, 3 or 4 of Jeremiah's top 30, 35 guys, you usually feel pretty good about that draft. And the Jets have a great opportunity to do that, because obviously some guys that are, less important to the Jets or lower down, they're going to jump up. Like, I can't imagine you guys are drafting an offensive lineman really high. So you'd love to see some of these linemen come off the board. That pushes a good player down the board to the Jets.
So. 100%. Now, you are a Heisman Trophy voter.
Yep.
You also are a Texas Tech alum.
I am.
So you've always been a college football junkie, but especially this year, because for the first time in a long time, your school was really good. You guys made the college football playoff. But David Bailey has been a popular name that has been mocked to the Jets at number 2. You watched him every game. Break down David Bailey as a prospect. Your thoughts on him potentially going as high as number 2 to the Jets.
He's got a lot of juice to his game. Like, that's what I would say, is he's just going to be relentless. He's going to be a nasty pass rusher. He's going to be a guy that tackles are going to have to, maybe it's not game plan for, but you've got to be ready for what he's going to bring to the table. He's got a discernible day one skill that you put out there and you can trust him. And most of the time, if guys go and get sacks at the college level at a very high rate and on a consistent basis, if you do that at the college level, typically it translates to initial success at the NFL pretty quickly. And that's what you're looking for with that pick. And if you go with Bailey, is he going to be successful right away? How much of his game can we fine tune to really get the maximum out of him? Because there's definitely some concerns about his game. I'll be fascinated to see measurements and size officially. And then you'll do a little projecting about how much weight he can put on. Because you look at him now, what he is now reported to be, right about 250, and, not like super freakish, like arm length or anything like that. Not like a crazy specimen, but can he put on a little bit of weight? Because that's going to help with the run game element of it. And I think back to Will Anderson in 2023. Now, Bailey's not Will Anderson, but Will Anderson ended up putting probably over the past couple of seasons 30, almost 40 pounds worth of weight. Or when he did put on weight, he put on good muscular weight. And it helped him in the run game, and it helped him be a more powerful pass rusher. That's something with Bailey that's like, okay, can he put on a couple of pounds? Can you rely on his game to grow? But from day one, he should be able to rush the passer. You put him out there wide. You make tackles and quarterbacks account for how good he is and how fast he is and how quick he can be. And then you just hope teams initially don't run right at him. There's not a quit factor. There's not a worry about how hard he's going to play. It just sometimes bigger guys are going to get him caught up, and he's going to have a tougher time against the run. So when he gets run at, that's not great, but he's going to rush the passer right away, and that's the most important thing for a defensive end.
That seems to be the one knock. If there is a knock on Bailey as a player, people talk about, well, is he going to be really good against the run? When you watched him, did you get any sense he was like a liability in that area? Because if you're taking someone second overall, obviously, ideally, you want them to be as well-rounded as possible.
It's tough because the guys he sees on Saturdays aren't anywhere close to the guys that are going to be coming, downhill trying to block him on Sundays. So it's just a whole different type of human being. I mean, you think about just how big and how much time these guys in the NFL have had to add to their bodies and add to their strength and weights. Like, initially there's going to be a little bit of worry, but again, if he has the want to, which I believe he does, and you have some of those pass rush skills that should translate fairly well to, okay, if I can draw this out, get him a little heavier, I can be able to play him against the run and not have to worry about him being you can't draft a situational guy at 2. And he's nowhere near being a situational pass rusher. You put him out there, and then speed will help you too get to running backs as well. If you're just faster than tackles, you can dart in there and you can make plays even if the size is a little bit of a concern.
Cody Stoots is with us. He is a draft aficionado. I mean, he is all over it.
I like that.
He loves the combine. I mean, he watches college football all year, but you've always been super into the draft. When we did radio shows in Houston, that was always something I know that you look forward to. So if you guys have questions about specific prospects, definitely go out there and super chat it in. I want to shout out the Rhino for being the first to super chat. He is a longtime viewer of Cody and I. The Rhino still super chats me on occasion. He used to watch The Wheelhouse, which was the name of the radio show that Cody, myself, and Brad Kellner and our producer Andrew all worked on. So shout out to the Dorino right there.
Yeah, good to see Dorino in there, and he's a loyal Houston footballer and SNLer, and so good to see him in there. And yeah, once a week at least, sometimes more, I hear about the Wheelhouse. So maybe this summer when we all three of us have kind of like a down day, we'll get a little Wheelhouse show going.
Would love to do that. That'd be an absolute blast. Also, apparently the Airbnb Wi-Fi, Cody, not very good. It looks fine on our end, but this is what the audience is seeing. A little blurriness.
Oh.
So I don't know what we could really do about that.
Are we in witness protection here?
Maybe. I mean, we do have faces for radio, so as long as people could hear us, that's all that truly matters. Now, I'm presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I want to show the audience here some odds from FanDuel for the number 2 pick, and we'll get Cody's thoughts on that. So here are the latest odds, courtesy of FanDuel, on who has the best chance of going number 2 to the New York Jets. The favorite right now is Arvell Reese, minus 115. David Bailey, who you and I just discussed, Cody, second favorite, plus 150. Ruben Bain, plus 550. Then, after you get through the 3 edge guys, big drop to Caleb Downs at plus 5,000. And just to show you how big of a lock Fernando Mendoza is to go number 1, Mendoza has the 4th highest odds here at plus 5,500, followed by Ty Simpson at plus 7,500. Give me your breakdown on Reese after we just asked you for your thoughts on Bailey.
I would have a tough time. Like, you do some of the projecting with Bailey and some of the things he needs to get good at. I'd have a tough time thinking that you use a number 2 overall pick on a guy like Reese, just because he feels to me more like a linebacker that on occasion can help you rush the passer. Whereas I know David Bailey day one's helping me rush the passer right away, doing it consistently. Actually, I kind of love the value there of Bain if you wanted to kind of just do a little sprinkle there, because I feel like he's a really nice player as well. A little bit more heavy-handed than a guy like Bailey. You hear that term a lot in scouting, just how powerful he can be. But I like Bailey the most out of those 3 guys, especially for the Jets situation. Reese is a fantastic player. I just feel like he's more of a gadget guy from a pass rush standpoint, not a true pass rusher. So I certainly understand why he'd be an intriguing player for an organization that has a head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach, but let's not just plan for 1 year. Let's plan for many years. Okay.
What do you think of Downs, the idea of taking a safety that high?
I mean, Downs is the perfect player for the Jets if somebody would come up to 2, but I don't think anybody's coming up to 2. It's tough to take him at 2 because it feels like you can get more impact from one of the pass rushers, and a very good pass rusher is going to be as important and maybe even more important than the best safety or one of the best safeties. And I know Downs might be really good from the word go, but it's still going to be a year or 2 until you find him in a situation where you think he's one of the best safeties in football. So I would lean more towards a pass rusher than the safety or the linebacker that can rush the passer.